Ride along each week as we share proven strategies to strengthen your business, energize your team, and create the business success you've been dreaming about. And now, here's your host, Rich Allen.
Could your business use a tune-up right about now? Welcome to the Ultimate Business Tune-Up Podcast, where our one and only goal is to help you tune up your business so you can have the long-lasting success and fulfillment that comes from owning a solid, profitable, and sustainable business. Each week we dive deep into a single topic related to improving your business, improving your team engagement, or improving your relationship with your customers. Thanks for joining me this week. I'm super excited to share this podcast with you today. To be honest, I'm really fired up right now. You may wonder why. Glad you asked. If you're listening to this podcast right after it's been released, then you know that the 2024 Tour de France kicked off just a few days ago. This year, the race starts on Saturday, June 29th, and they'll be racing until Sunday, July 21st. Over these 23 days, the riders of the Tour de France will be racing 21 stages with only 2 rest days off. They'll be covering 3,492 kilometers, or just over 2,729 miles over these 21 days of racing. That's nearly the distance from New York City to Los Angeles. Not to mention that while racing that distance, the riders will have to power over 70 climbs that total more than 52,000 meters of elevation gain. That's like climbing the height of Mount Everest nearly 6 times. It's why I believe this is the single most challenging physical competition on the planet. And because this year the Olympics are being held in Paris at the same time the Tour de France is going on, the finishing stage will not be on the Champs-Élysées as normal, but will be a time trial race that finishes in Nice, France. It's the first time in 35 years that the finishing stage will be a single rider at a time trial race. Let's just say that this year's race could have an epic finish. So that's why I'm so fired up. If you can't tell, this is my favorite time of the year. And since the Tour de France is racing as we speak, and after every stage their bikes are going in for a tune-up to be sure they're in the very best condition for riding fast that next day, it seems appropriate for me to ask you this question today. Could your business use a tune-up right about now? I'm thinking the answer to that question is probably yes. So I'm going to dedicate these next 3 weeks while the Tour de France is underway to giving you a virtual tune-up for your business. How does that sound to you? Here's how we'll do it. This week, and then for the next 2 consecutive weeks, I'll walk you through the critical parts of your business that need to be looked at and tuned up from time to time to make sure your business and you stay in tip-top condition so you can ride hard and ride fast. This week, we're going to cover 3 parts of your bike or your business. Then next week, we'll cover 2 very critical parts. And on the 3rd week, we'll cover the final 3 parts that must be in perfect condition if you plan to win your race against your toughest competition. As we go through each part or component of your bike, your business, I'm going to share a statement and ask you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being a low score, meaning you've got lots of tuning up to do on this, and 5 being a high score, meaning you've got it in pretty good shape already. I'm also going to ask you to identify those areas that you believe need priority attention. We're going to look at many different aspects of your business, and not everything can be the most important. So just like an auto mechanic would do, I'm going to ask you to identify the areas that need your attention right now. That way you can fix these areas first, then move on to the areas that may need an adjustment but aren't as critically important at this moment. But Before we start, I want to remind you, today and the next 2 weeks are a time to do an assessment, not to make the adjustments or solve the problems. Our focus will be on identifying where we need to tune up the most. The fixes will come after we're done looking at everything with a critical eye. Okay, you ready to dive in? Let's get started. The first part I want to cover is the rider, or in other words, you. And I'm not going to ask you about your physical health, but rather your personal mindset. You see, as the person at the top of your business, you, by default, are the bottleneck. The bottleneck is always at the top. So our first assignment is to assess how your mindset is about being a business owner. Let's get that tuned up first. I've got 3 statements in this area for you to respond to. Here's the first tune-up assessment statement. I'm excited to find or refine my passion and get my heart and mind focused on really enjoying running and growing my business. In other words, how fired up are you about getting into the race and beating your competition? Is your energy level high, or are you in a funk? How would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5? Is this an urgent priority for you right now? Make a note if this is critically important right now. Here's the second tune-up assessment statement. I work on my business rather than in my business on a regular basis. I'm focused on creating a system-dependent business rather than a people-dependent business. How would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5? Is this an urgent priority for you right now? Here's the third tune-up assessment statement. I have a plan to get myself the freedom of more time away from my business, confident it will still grow and create more and more profits without me having to be there daily. How would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5? Is this an urgent priority for you right now? Make a note if it's critically important. These 3 statements reflect your mindset as the owner. They're critical to the future success of your business. If you're in a good place mentally, you can achieve anything with your business. Now, let's move to the handlebars of your bike, which represent your leadership and vision for the business. As the owner, you steer your bike using your handlebars. In this area, we want to make sure you've got your hands firmly on the handlebars and you're steering the business with authority and confidence. I've got 3 statements for you to consider in this area. Here's the first tune-up assessment statement. I have written and shared my personal story so that my team knows and understands why the success of this business is so important to me. This is pretty straightforward. Have you shared your why with your team? And do you share it often enough so that everyone knows and understands it? How would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5? Is this an urgent priority for you right now? Make a note if it is. Here's a second tune-up assessment statement. I have a clear and compelling vision for the future of my company and the future of my life. I've developed a complete and powerful set of written, personal, and business goals to help me achieve my vision and my life's aim. 2 big thoughts here. Having a compelling vision that you share regularly with your team and having written goals. Both of these are very important to the future success of your business. How would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5? Is this an urgent priority for you right now? Make a note if it is. Here's the third tune-up assessment statement. I have defined and shared the performance standards that I will expect and demand from anyone who works with me to serve our customers. I'm asking here if you have your performance standards written down and published so that everyone on your team knows them with certainty, no questions asked. If not, you may have some work to do in this area. How would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5? Is this an urgent priority for you right now? Make a note if it is. The last area we'll cover today is the frame of your bike. The frame represents your structure and organization for the business. Your frame is important because everything attaches to the frame. If the frame is not solid and strong, things will get shaky and loose, and your bike won't go very fast. So here are 4 statements I want you to consider regarding your structure and organization. Here's the first tune-up assessment statement. I have an organization chart that reflects the functions in my business 3 years from now, which represents the roles I envision in the business and the sequence in which I will fill the new positions. The big idea here is that if you want your team to get excited about being on your team, they need to see opportunities for them in the future. Do you have that clear in your mind, and have you shared that with your team in the future org chart picture? How would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5? Is this an urgent priority for you right now? Make a note if it is. Here's the second tune-up assessment statement. I have a written position agreement outlining the responsibilities and accountabilities for every position on my organization chart. Everyone has signed off on his or her position agreement. This is all about making sure that everyone on your team knows exactly what's expected of them and what they're accountable for. How would you rate this on a scale of 1 to 5? Is this an urgent priority for you right now? Make a note if it is. Here's the third tune-up assessment statement. I have established a reliable and repeatable system of accountability that applies to everyone on our team. One of the critical aspects of the frame of your business is that there's a system of accountability. Each person on the team knows what's expected, and there are regular routine systems and processes that ensure everyone takes accountability for their role in the business. How would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5? Is this an urgent priority for you right now? Make a note if it is. And lastly, here's the fourth tune-up assessment statement. I have identified and implemented a continuous improvement methodology that will allow us to consistently make incremental improvements in every area of our business. No matter how good your business operates today, there's always opportunities to make it better and separate yourself from your competition. Do you have a methodology and process you follow to make sure that that happens routinely and regularly? How would you rate that on a scale of 1 to 5? Is this an urgent priority for you right now? Make a note if it is. Okay, that's enough for today. I've given you lots to think about. Take some time to review your notes and prioritize the areas that need improvement the most. If you've got time to work on them this week, great, do it. Then next week, we'll cover what I consider to be the 2 most important parts of your bike. So be sure to join us for that. Meanwhile, take some time this week to tune in to the Tour de France. You'll be amazed at the effort and difficulty these riders must endure to win the race. To me, it's not a lot different than you being a business owner. You've got to have strength, endurance, and a no-quit attitude if you're going to win your race in your industry. Let's use these weeks to tune up your business so you can outpace your toughest competitors. I'll see you back here next week for part 2. Now, before we go, 2 quick asks. Share this podcast with your fellow business owners. I'm trying to get these free business tips to as many business owners as possible. I want every business owner to be successful, and this is my gift to you and to them. Thanks for passing this along. And lastly, please leave a review on this podcast. The more thumbs up this podcast gets, the more it will be found when someone's stuck or struggling and looking for advice. Your review can help make this happen. Thanks for joining me today. Be sure to tune in next week when we're going to discuss your business tune-up assessment, part 2. You won't want to miss it. Meanwhile, if you have a question, suggestion, or would simply like to connect, shoot me an email at rich at tourtoprofit.com. Now go make it a great week, and whatever you do, ride hard.
Thank you for listening to the Ultimate Business Tune-Up. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. In the meantime, find more resources at tourtoprofit.com and connect with Rich by sending a message to rich@tourtoprofit.com. Until next time, ride hard.